Hi guys, welcome to Piece of Code and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to talk about very important topic on strings, which is string equality, and I'm making this specific video just for this topic because it is very important to understand string equality, because a lot of questions come from this particular topic, and it's also a very favorite interview topic also. So we're going to discuss all the scenarios where we use the double equals to and also the equals function and how it differs in all of those cases. Right now, let us move on. Let us go to our Eclipse IDE, and let me create a new class over here in the strings package, and let me name this class as understanding equality, something like that. Understanding equality. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we are here now. Okay, I forgot the main method, so I'm just going to take the main method over here. All right, now in the previous chapters we have learned about this operator, right? This one, that's the double equals to, and it is basically used for equality, comparing equality between primitive types, right? So if we say 2 equals to 2, then it is true. So basically this operator, this equals to, double equals to operator, works quite well if you are going to use it with primitives. But what happens if you try to compare non-primitives like objects? That is where the stuff happens, right? Where the stuff goes bogus. You are not able to understand. That is where people get confused actually. Now let us see an example. Let me create two string builder objects. So string builder. Let us name it as 1 equals to new string builder, and string builder 2 equals to new string builder. These are all empty string builder objects, by the way. Here let us create another one. So string builder 3 equals to let us say 1 dot append something like A, right? And let us create this one. So all these concepts about string builder and all, I have discussed all that in my, I think, in the previous video, so you can just go and watch it. I have discussed in details the difference between string builder and strings and like that. But for now, string builders are immutable, so you can work on one string builder object instead of recreating the strings again and again, because strings are immutable. So for more details, you can watch the previous videos. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, we have created 3 string builder reference variables, right? Now let us move on. Let us do a sys out over here, and let us do this thing. 1 equals to 2, and let's do another sys out, and let's say 1 equals to 3. 3, right? Now what do you think the output in this particular case will be, right? What will be the output of this one and what will be the output of this one? You can just pause the video and you can just guess the answer, right? Now let us run this code and let us see what is the output of these two statements. Okay, let me run it like this. Run as Java application. So the first one is false and the second one is true. Now the thing is, now where it becomes a little bit difficult to understand. So what happens over here is that I created the one object. So in the heap memory, this one is pointing to a separate object over here, right? That's what happened, right? I created the one, this particular object with the new keyword, right? Whenever you use a new keyword, a new object is created, new memory is allocated in the heap. Now talking about 2, right? Same thing happens with 2, because with 2 also we are creating a new string builder object. So similar thing happens. As these are two empty strings, so basically these are empty as of now. So 1 and 2 are separate objects because separate memory is allocated in the heap, right? Now that makes sense. Talking about 3, right? What about 3? Are we using new keyword with the 3 reference variable? Like, are we creating a new object over here? No, right? We are not using the new keyword over here. But on the contrary, what we are doing 1 dot append A. As I've told you, right, string builder is not a immutable class. It means it is mutable. So when you operate on a particular object, you are operating on itself only. You are changing the same object only. So we are changing the one object only. We are doing one dot append a. So basically this was 1 and we appended a to it. So here a is present as of now in that particular string builder object. Then we are assigning it to 3. Now what happened is that there is another 3 reference variable created, and we assigned that to it. It means that now 3 is also pointing to the same memory in the heap. Now if it was the case that we had created 3 using the new keyword, then another memory will be allocated in the heap. But as we are doing the assigning only over here to 3, so it is pointing to the same memory in the heap here over here, A. Now this is interesting, right? Now if in case of objects, right, if they are pointing to the same memory, then the equals to operator works, and basically this we get true over here. So if we do 1 equals to 3, we get true over here, because both of them are pointing in the same memory and the value is also same. It makes sense. So that's why this equals to operator returned true in this case. So here it returned true. But what about this thing? As I've told you, right, 1 and 2 are two different separate objects, right? So in here it just gave us false. It can be a little bit difficult to understand in the beginning, but as you keep on practicing, it makes a lot of sense. Remember that even though two objects are having the same value, the equals to operator, which is the double equals to operator, doesn't really return true, because basically they are pointing to separate memory locations, right? That's why it is returning false, even though they have same values. On the other hand, if two objects or two variables, actually reference variables, are pointing to the same object, in this case this case, right, this case, then it will return true. Now this kind of behavior can be overridden by overriding the equals method, but we are not going to discuss about that as of now, but that is out of scope as of now. We are going to discuss that later on. But for now, just remember that if you are creating two separate objects using the new keyword and you are comparing it, then it will return false using the equals operator. So remember that and keep that in your mind. Okay, let us see some other examples right now. Let us see some examples about the string class now. String builder is done, right? Let us see about the string class. So let us create two string variables. String x equals to Akash, or banana, and string y equals to, also let us create banana. Alright, now if I do x equals to y, what do you think the output will be? Guess the output on your own. If you have guessed it is true, then sure, that is true. You can give yourself a trophy. Why is it true in this case? Now if you remember my strings chapter, I have talked about something known as string pools. And when we create strings like this, basically a literal is getting created in the string pool. So what happens over here? If we go back, so we created string x and we gave a value of banana. So in the string pool, what happens over here is that string named banana is getting created, right? This is banana. So this x is pointing to banana itself. Now when we do string y is equals to banana, then the literal y will also be pointed to the same literal over here. Sorry, this is the variable. This variable y will be pointing to the same literal in the string pool, which is banana. So this is different from using the new keyword. If we create a string using new keyword, then it will follow the same rules as creating an object. As we are creating the string like this, string x equals to banana and string y equals to banana, so the string pool, in the string pool, no new literals will be created, and this is how Java functions. So as x and y are pointing to the same data in the string pool, which is banana, that is why in this case it will be true. And if I run this code, you can see that it is true. So it can be a little bit confusing when working with strings and then working with objects and all these things, but still you need to understand the differences, right? Okay, let us see some examples to make it a little bit more clear. Okay, now let us see a very tricky example, right? And let us see that tricky example. And here how it goes. String x1 equals to hello world. You know what, let us take a normal string like Akash. so that I don't have to type much. I'm very lazy, you know. So string y1 equals to a space with Akash and then dot trim. What the hell, why is it substring dot trim? Okay, so trim. And if we do x1 equals to y1, what will you think the output will be? Let us run the code. In this case, we are getting false, and this is a very interesting thing that is happening over here. So basically, what is happening in this case is that first we are creating a new string, which is Akash, and basically this literal is getting stored in the string pool, right? So because we are creating it like this, it is stored in the string pool. What happens over here? At the compile time, it means when the compilation occurs, this string is different. It has a space in the at the first it has a space, but then at the runtime the stream function is operates on that string. And what does the stream function returns? The stream function returns a new string at the runtime, because remember that strings are immutable, right? So whenever you perform an operation using a string function, let's say 2 uppercase, 2 lowercase, substring or trim, you are actually creating a new string. You are not operating on the same string. So in this case, this string, right, y1 is actually different than x1, even though at the end they are evaluating to the same string, but since it is different at the compile time, it is actually being evaluated at the runtime. In this case, both are different. At the end, both will be pointing to two different string literals. Like here, for example, we have x1 which is pointing to Akash, and we created y1 at compile time. There was a space over here and then it was Akash. Now at the runtime, the trim function returned a new string which was basically Akash. So you see over here, both are different because x1 is pointing to this one, y1 is pointing to this one. Now if you had created the same literal at compile time, for example over here it is Akash and then you said Akash over here, in that case it would have returned true, right? Because we are not using any string function, so no new string is being created. Makes sense? But in this case we are getting a new string at runtime due to the trim function. That is why x1 and y1 are pointing to the different string literals. So that is why we are getting false over here. Very important to understand, because this type of questions come a lot in the exam. Now let us see a very easy example now. Let us make things a little bit easier so that you guys will be able to catch up, right? See this example, string x2 equals to new string, and let us give it as hello world, and string y equals to hello world, right? Cool. So both are same, right? Okay, string y2. Okay, now if I do this thing, x2 equals to y2, what do you think the output will be? Very simple, guys. The output will be false. Run the code. See, this is false. Why is it false in this case? The thing is, you have specifically requested a different string object, so the pooled value isn't shared. It means that this value is getting created in the string pool. Likewise, when you create a string like this, it is getting created in the string pool, right? But this is a different string object itself. We have understood the two different types of string creation in a previous video. We have discussed that in detail. So this one is getting created in the pool and this one is actually a different string object itself. So both are different. So obviously x2 and y2 will return false in this case. Now what is the takeaway of this particular lesson? Let me write it down over here. The lesson is to never use double equals to compare string objects. And remember that every time you are working with strings, always use the equals or the equals ignore case functions, because these functions will not give a damn about like if the string was created using the new keyword or is it in the pool or something like that. If the value is true, then they will return true. That's it. They are only going to compare on the values. But when it comes to double equals to, then it's where things goes to a very big mess, right? So you never use the double equals to compare string objects. You always use the equals to or the equals ignore case methods. Now, talking back to the point that the equals to, double equals to will be used extensively in the OCA exam, because they will try to trick you, and all the tricky questions actually come with this equals to operator, double equals to operator. So make sure you pay a lot of attention in the OCA exam. Otherwise, in your daily lives, basically you will be using these two functions only, right? Now, the exam will also test you on the understanding of equality with objects they define to. Now, the thing is, when you are comparing objects, right, and you are not overriding the equals method, that's where things get messier a little bit. Let us try it with an example, right? Let me create a new class, and let me name this class as lion, and I need the public static void main method. Click on finish. Over here, if I do this thing, so I'll create a couple of objects of lion L1 equals to new lion. I don't know, is it lion or lion? My pronunciation is pretty bad, I think. Lion L2 equals to new lion. I don't know, it's just getting confused between lion and lion. It's pretty bad. Tiger, oh no, not tiger. Lion L3 equals to L1, right? And this one, if you have understood this example quite well, right, then you will be able to answer it quite well. Let us try some things out. Let us do T1 equals to not T1, L1 equals to L1. Why am I thinking about tiger so much? Do I like tigers better than lions? I don't know. I haven't given a lot of thought actually. L1 equals to L2. I need to think about it. Do I like tigers more or lions more? In fact, when I see both of them, right, I kind of think that I like lions more, because you know they look grand. The thing is, tigers are also not bad, right? No, why am I getting off topic in this case? Let us talk this out. T1 dot equals, sorry, L1 dot equals L2. This is the thing. Now try to guess the output in these cases. What will be the output in this case, the second one and the third one? Pause the video and try it out. I'm going to just run the code now and let us see the thing. It is true, false, false. Makes a lot of sense, right? In this case, we are comparing the same object L1 and L1, so obviously it is true. In this case, L1 and L2 are two different objects created by the new keyword. That is why it is false. In this case, L1 equals to L2. Now this makes a lot of sense. Why is it going to be false in this case? Why? Why do you think? The thing is, the first two statements, right, in this case, we have already discussed that the first two statements check object reference equality. And this particular, the first line prints true because both of the objects are the same. The second line prints false because two objects were created using the new keyword. That makes sense. We have already discussed that. What about the third one? It prints false since lion does not implement the equals method. What is the equals method? Now, equals method is basically comes from the object class, and basically all classes in Java extend from the object class. So if you want to compare objects, it is a very good thing to implement the equals method. That is why we have not implemented the equals method. That is why it is returning false. By default, the equals method when used with objects always returns false, because basically they belong to different hash codes. Now what is hash code, what is the equals method, we are going to discuss that later on in a different lecture in detail. But for now, just remember that when working with strings, always use the equals method, or the equals ignore case method. When you know, working with objects and non-primitive types like this class, right, if you want to compare them, then you are free to compare them. Who am I to stop you, right? But always implement the equals method, and it comes from the object class. If I hover over it, so see, this is comes from the object class. Where is that info gone? Okay, here. So it has a return type of boolean, and it is come from the object class and the equals method, and it takes a object and compares it with this object. Just don't worry about all these terms, we are going to discuss that later on. So I hope this thing got into your mind. Alright, so that's it for today's session, guys. It was a little bit smaller session, but I wanted you guys to understand the difference between equals and all that. So I hope it actually stuck to your minds. Okay, so from the next session we're going to start with arrays in Java, and till then, have a nice day. Bye bye.